Kennedy, working for KRT on a project called Connecting Communities, and we're joined today by Jeannie from the customer service team at Birmingham City Council, who's going to tell us about housing and council tax benefits. Jeannie.
Hello there. Okay, so it can be complicated, but what we're trying to talk about now is just how to go through and fill out a form.
Yeah.
That's the initial. If any more information, any problems, you can always book an appointment or phone. I've got phone numbers, I've got email address.
Brilliant.
And obviously we give that service at the neighbourhood office as well. At the moment it's by telephone because obviously COVID, but we're hoping to be back in the office soon. So for most people it's going to be council tax support only, because there's two different benefits now. There's housing benefit, which will be paid by the council, but there's universal credit, who will incorporate your housing benefit. It's called housing element within that benefit. So you can apply for both, but it depends on your circumstances. So a lot of people, it will be council tax support only. Now, council tax, when you move into a property, if you're in a property and you're the householder, so say you're moving with friends, it will be the friends who've got the tenancy that would pay the council tax. So if you're living with friends, then it's going to be them. If you live in a shared accommodation, it should be the landlord. If it's a house of multi-occupation, it's the landlord that would pay the council tax. So if you're the householder, so the tenancy's in your name, it might not be the tenancy's in your name. Sometimes you might be living in a property that's owned by somebody else. But if you're resident in that property, you will be responsible for council tax. So the first thing you can do is you need to do is register for council tax.
And what is council tax, Jeannie? What does it?
Council tax it's a charge. It covers a multitude of things really. It's paying for paying for local services.
Right.
It could be fire, ambulance. It's
schools.
It's all
refuse,
that community.
that kind of thing.
All of that thing.
But
But everybody is responsible for paying that if they're a householder in Birmingham. Obviously you can get benefit on that if you're on low income. You can get benefit on council tax support, and you need to go onto the council website in order to apply for that benefit. Now we've discussed previously the Brum account. You can go into the Brum account, but if you haven't signed up for the Brum account, you can just go onto the Birmingham City Council website, birmingham.gov benefits, and the page will come up where you can go into that link to apply for the benefit. So for most people it will be council tax only, as the housing costs will be dealt with by the Department of Works and Pensions if you have to apply for universal credit. There are exceptions to the rule, so if anybody is not sure, we're always here to be able to look into those questions for them. So to apply for housing benefit, council tax support, as I said, you go onto the website, which is birmingham.gov, look for benefits, you'll go into the link from there. It's fairly straightforward. Now it does start off by telling you you can apply for housing benefits if you're living in supported accommodation. So it might be that you're homeless and you've been placed in supported accommodation. The rents do tend to be quite high on those because the support included. The council you have to apply for housing benefit to the council for that, not through universal credit. So it might be that you're on universal credit, but the housing department's paying the rents on those ones.
Because of the support element.
So that's the support element, or temporary accommodation, or if you're pensionable age, if you're on pension credit, or if you have a severe disability premium, which means that you may be on PIP or attendance allowance, something like that, that would prevent you from claiming universal credit. So you'd have to go through the route of claiming housing benefit. But the form is the same. So you go into the same form for council tax support and housing benefit. There's no, it will ask you what you're applying for as you go through the form. Now the first thing to remember, when you go into the form initially, it will bring up, can't remember how many letters, but it will bring up capital letters, and that is your code.
Right.
So say for example you need to stop the form halfway through because you've got to be somewhere or you haven't got the information, you can save for later. So keep that code safe because you can go back into the form. And sometimes when you try to save the form and it might not send and something happens, you've got that code. If you don't keep that code, then you'd have to go back in and start again if you didn't keep it. And there's no problems with doing that.
Yeah.
The other one would probably just, after 21 days, it would just cancel.
Self-destruct.
Yeah, basically. Okay, so again, it'll go through who can claim the housing benefit. Whichever one or both you need to apply for, you don't need to provide any supporting information initially, as they may be able to do internal checks on the information you give them.
Right.
I would always say I will go through a list of everything that you need, and you won't need it initially. It might ask you to upload something online. It might be that you don't have that facility, but don't worry about that for the moment. Just what we say is get the form done as soon as you can, because if you delay, they may not backdate it.
Right.
So always just get the form filled in. Don't worry about the rest of the information. They will ask for that at a later date.
So people have to prove their income, but if it's a thing the benefits team can cross-check information, they'll do so.
Yeah.
So it's likely to be things like wage slips where they can't cross-check that they'll ask for.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you about wage slips because obviously it depends on whether you get paid weekly, monthly, what you've got to provide. So in some circumstances, information will be required and asked for when filling in the form. There is a facility on the form to upload when completing, as we've said. If you haven't got that facility, don't worry, there's ways of sending the information in. So if you're not asked for something, just don't upload it, don't send it in. Just sort of get on with the rest of the form, and if they want information, they will ask for it. If information is required, it's normally done through taking, we did have the library service where you could take your proofs and get it scanned, and then you would get a receipt. We haven't got that at the moment because of COVID.
Right.
Hopefully in the future the libraries will be up and running for that service again, but at the moment you can't drop things off to the library, unfortunately. So if you can upload them on the computer, that's fine if need be. If not, there is a PO box address where you can send your information in, but they'll want originals. And once they've dealt with them, they will send them back. So do you want that PO box address?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So it's Birmingham City Council, PO Box 8267, and it's Birmingham B4 7XF. Okay. There is a telephone number. Any queries at all as well. At one time you could phone up and do your application by phone, but I think they tried to get you to go onto the Brum account or just go onto the council website. But if you're having real difficulties, phone them up. Their phone number is 0121 464 7000. So that's 0121 464 7000. And they've also got an email address which is ptmailbox. So that's MAIL box at birmingham.gov.uk. So there are other facilities. So what I was saying before is if you haven't got all your information, don't delay, just get that application in as soon as you can, because you don't want to miss out on benefits, because they tend, say you fill a form in on a Thursday, they tend to pay it from the following Monday.
Right.
So if you've been in your property 6 weeks and you're filling it in today, it won't go on till next Monday.
So in essence you'd have 7 weeks without any.
You've got to, they will only go, by law they can only go back 1 month.
Right.
They may go back further if you've been given wrong information, and you can, ask for a retrospective application to be looked at, but you've got to have really good cause. So they can go back 1 month, but you have to have a good reason. Not knowing that you could apply, they would say it isn't a good enough reason. It could be things like health, or not being able to move in yet because you haven't got a bed to sleep in, or you're waiting for repairs to be done.
So how about if there was a language barrier? Would that be
You can do it, yeah. If they don't understand, they've got language issues, they've not had anyone to help them, and it's taken them, could be that they've taken weeks to find somebody to help them, then I would definitely put that in. I would try backdate anyway. Yeah. With the reasons, because sometimes you think, well, maybe not, and then they do get backdate, so it's definitely worth, definitely worth asking for a backdate, but it's got to be within the month. Or by law, they can only, it used to be 6 months they could go back, but now it's only 1 month. So it's quite tight. So as soon as you can fill the form in, even if you initially fill that form in and you've got the code, and you think, oh, I haven't got everything, and you might not go back to it for a week, just get on and show that you want to make an application, and they'll go from that date that you initially put your name and address in and get that code, and then go back into it. But you must make sure you do it within the month. Right. Okay. The same for information, if they've asked for any information. I was going to say, if there is anybody that's pensionable age, they'll go back 3 months. But working age people, 1 month. Just 1. Yeah. Again, if you are on benefit already and your benefit's been recently stopped, get that in, and they've been waiting. Say you've put your form in and it's coming up to a month and you still haven't sent the proofs that they ask for, you must get it in within that month. Or if your benefit stops because they're waiting for something, you've got 1 month to get the information in. If you leave it more than a month, you're basically going to be starting again, and they'll be asking for a backdate that you might not get. So unless you've got, again, good, I would always put good cause on that. So if you've gone over the month and you haven't sent the information, you're going to be filling the form in again and asking for a backdate and giving good reason as to why,
So the key lesson is be timely with it all.
Be timely, yeah, if you can. And if you're stuck, ask for help. Yeah. Ask for help. I mean, at the moment we have got telephone number, and that's 0121 303 116. And because we're sort of working from home at the moment, that inquiry may filter through to us if somebody needs help. So we can do application.
You can talk somebody through it.
Yeah. Or we can even do the form.
Oh, that's great.
The phone. Yeah. So if somebody's really desperate and thinking, I just can't do this, then we are there to help. Although the office is closed at the moment, we're still there working and helping people. So once you've made your application, Housing Benefit will only write for further information if it's required to support your claim. But it's worth getting all of your proofs together. Just put them in a folder, and then if somebody asks for it, you know exactly where the information is. Because sometimes it's like, where's that information gone? But the main proofs that I would say get together in case it's needed is ID for the whole household, including children. So it could be birth certificates, passports, immigration cards, your status, proof of address for everybody in that household. So you've got to prove that you've got all of those, so you've got 5 children, you've got to prove that they live in that property.
So council, child benefit letter.
Child benefit letter. If somebody's still on child tax credit, if they're still on the old system, if they were still getting child tax credit, the names of the children would also be on the application as well. So proof of tenancy. So your tenancy agreement, because that tenancy agreement will give so much information. It will say when the tenancy started, it will say how much the rent is, how often the landlord charges that rent, and they also ask for the landlord's name and address. Right. Sometimes they might get a bit of paper scribbled and it might not have enough information on there, but those are the things that they ask for: landlord's name and address as well, contact details. So proof of any benefits that you're getting. So it could be universal credit. Now a lot of people, universal credit is on your phone because it's all, they don't send letters out now. But if they require it, I mean, you could get it printed yourself if you've got that facility. If not, you could ask the DWP if they can send you a paper copy because it's needed. You could be on employment support allowance, you could still be getting child tax credit, child benefit, pension credit. So make sure that you've got those letters to hand showing, you know, when it started, how much your weekly or monthly figures are. So when it comes to wages, they need to know what your gross pay is, and they want to know what deductions you've got. So it could be tax, national insurance, you're paying to a pension scheme. They won't take, if you're paying for union or other things, they won't take that off because what they're looking at is finding a net figure for you. So make sure that your wage slip has got all of that information. I mean, I spoke to somebody last week who said my boss won't give me a pay slip if they were getting paid cash in hand, but by law your employer has to give you a pay slip. So whether it's cash in hand or wages into the bank, your employer is required by law.
Otherwise they're not employing you correctly.
Yeah. So if you get paid weekly, they'll want the last 5 consecutive wage slips. So they don't want big gaps. They don't want a pay slip from last month and the month before and 2 weeks ago. It's 5 consecutive. But if you're paid monthly, it's the last 2.
Right.
Okay. I mean, some people might be paid 4 weekly, so they might want the last 2, maybe 3. Yeah. Proof of any savings or investments. So obviously they'll want to know what you've got in the bank, or if you've got any investments, ISAs or any sort of investments.
Because presumably the more capital you have, the less benefit you're entitled to.
Also, if you've got any disability benefits, so PIP, disability living allowance, you might have disability living allowance for a child, attendance allowance, all of these things are important because if there was any reason that you might be subject to a benefit cap, and knowing that you've got other benefits might mean that you haven't got that benefit cap, so you're going to get more benefit. Because a lot of people think with PIP, well, it's not counted as income. So PIP, disability living allowance for a child, attendance allowance, they're not counted as income, but you must make sure that you tell them that you've got, because you may be entitled to more benefit because you've got those.
So those benefits make for a more generous calculation.
Yeah. And if you've got savings of 16 or investments of 16,000 or more, then you'll not be able to, your claim or application will be rejected. Obviously, for working age people, any savings over 6,000 will be counted. Up to 6,000 it won't be. So it's just looking at capital and making sure that you're giving the correct figures on those. They might ask for more information, but just get the form done first and then wait for them to do the assessment there.
So once you press submit on that form, what's the turnaround then?
Oh, not being in the office for a while, I'm not too sure on that, but it was about 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks it has been. So.
And in the meantime, is the advice to try and pay
as much as you can. Yeah.
Because presumably you might not have an entitlement.
This is it. So it's best to pay as much as you possibly can. While you're waiting for that assessment to be done.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jeannie. I think that's everything.